Many people are greatly enslaved by what we term ties of relationship. It is well, however, for us to remember that our true relatives are not necessarily those who are connected with us by ties of blood. Our truest relatives are those who are nearest akin to us in mind, in soul, and in spirit. Our nearest relatives may be those living on the opposite side of the globe, people whom we may never have seen as yet, but to whom we will yet be drawn, either in this form of life or in another, through that ever-working and never-failing law of attraction. When the Master gave the injunction, "Call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father, which is in heaven," he here gave us the basis for that grand conception of the fatherhood of God. And if God is equally the Father of all, then we have here the basis for the brotherhood of man. But there is, in a sense, a conception still higher than this, namely, the oneness of man and God, and hence the oneness of the whole human race. When we realize this fact, then we clearly see how, in the degree that we come into the realization of our oneness with the infinite life, and so every step that we make Godward, we aid in lifting all mankind up to this realization and enable them in turn to make a step Godward. The Master again pointed out our true relations with the infinite life when he said, "Except ye become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven." When he said, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God," he gave utterance to a truth of far greater import than we have as yet commenced fully to grasp. Here he taught that even the physical life cannot be maintained by material food alone, but that one's connection with this infinite source determines to a very great extent the condition of even the bodily structure and activities. Said the great Hindu sage Manu, "He who in his own soul perceives the Supreme Soul in all beings and acquires equanimity toward them all attains the highest bliss." It was Athanasius who said, "Even we may become gods walking about in the flesh." The same great truth we are considering is the one that runs through the life and teachings of Gautama, who became the Buddha. "People are in bondage," said he, "because they have not yet removed the idea of I." To do away with all sense of separateness, and to recognize the oneness of the Self with the Infinite, is the spirit that breathes through all his teachings. All the prophets, seers, sages, and saviors in the world's history became what they became, and consequently had the powers they had, through an entirely natural process. They all recognized and came into the conscious realization of their oneness with the infinite life. God is no respecter of persons. He doesn't create prophets, seers, sages, and saviors as such. He creates men and women. But here and there, one recognizes his true identity, recognizes the oneness of his life with the source whence it came. He lives in the realization of this oneness, and in turn becomes a prophet, seer, sage, or savior.